Alrighty, welcome everyone. The VMware User Group, or VMUG, is an independent, global, customer-led organization created to maximize members' use of VMware and partner solutions through knowledge, sharing, training, collaboration, and events. Please use the Q&A function for all of your questions. I know it might be tempting to use the chat feature, but it'll be a lot smoother on our end if you use the Q&A feature whenever you have questions. And also, this session is being recorded and it will be uploaded on YouTube. So if you're wondering about, getting the slides or being able to read the presentation afterward, that'll all be presented to you after the presentation. And without further ado, I'll kick it over to Conan.
All right, thank you, Tristan. Hope you all can hear me okay. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. I think mostly you're in the US, I guess. So I'm here in Austin here. It's pretty bright here. It's noon time for me. But if you are in different parts of the time zone, so good morning, you all. With that, let me start. So I'm being a frequent VMUG speaker. I know if you have attended any of those VMUG physical events, you must have seen me speaking about it. Today, I'm going to be talking more about how you can modernize your Intel Xeon data center. We call it more like a data center modernization, especially on our Xeon technology, and then also making sure you're keeping your infrastructure much more like AI-ready infrastructure, right? So with that, let me introduce myself. My name is Kanan Mani. I go as Kanan. I've been in Intel almost for 3 years now. I'm a global technologist here. I take care of the entire technology aspects of making sure the VMware platform runs really well on Intel Xeon platform, right? So that's pretty much the goal that myself and the team carries. We are a small team, but we have a good engineering group, which pretty much interacts with VMware on a day-to-day basis. I do carry a roadmap, whatever we are enabling with our Xeon processors and accelerators. So from now and all the way to the next few years, we do have the joint roadmap with VMware, especially on the Xeon, especially on the accelerators, especially on some of those integration we do with the security features, so which I will cover it here as well. Prior to Intel, I was with VMware, spent 6.5 years there. You probably must have heard me talking earlier. If you're an old timer, VMware old timer, you must have heard me speaking about or working on some of those business critical applications. So I have a long history with VMware. I have a long with enterprise applications. I've also worked with HP, NetApp, and a few other companies as well here. But having said that, I'm also a little bit of shameless plug. I also wrote books on virtualizing Oracle database on VMware. It was published both English and Chinese. So I'm more onto the customer, more onto like user friendly. I'm actually, in fact, very passionate about helping our customer to be successful in their journey. Okay. With that, here is our agenda. So we're going to talk about a little bit about why VMware and Intel is better together, and then we will talk about a little bit about the Xeon value proposition, right? So what does Xeon brings in? I call it more like a smart accelerator processor, because today we call it it's a chip. Oh, what is Intel doing? And that's a simple chip. No, it's not. So it all we have carefully understood what customer needs are, what kind of workloads customers are running, and we have inbuilt some smartness called accelerators, which we call it like inbuilt accelerators. I will talk about that in the later presentation. We have two key accelerators we normally have our customers using it. One is the AMX. It's mostly intended for the AI workloads. It's called Advanced Matrix Extension. So the beauty about it is you can offload your AI workload to the accelerator so that your CPU goes down, the CPU power goes down, and you can use the additional CPU savings that you can run some additional workload on top of it, right? And then we also have QAT engine that I will also talk about it, which actually has some quite bit of good feature where you can offload your SQL Server backup into a QAT engine. Again, the CPU usage goes down, and then the accelerator does the work. And then we also talk about a little bit about the TCO. I will talk about a little bit about the AI, how to start the AI journey, what we are currently doing, what we will be doing later. And then I'll touch upon a little bit about security. Security today, it's so key, right? So you all know, like, okay, what security offering Intel brings to the table at the silicon level. And then I'll point out to some resources. And then, like Tristan said, please send questions on the chat, on the Q&A, not on the chat. I will address it after this session. I just want to make sure you all get the contents pretty much covered. I was thinking about getting some backup to answer questions live on the live, but it will be better that I answer the questions at the end so that you all get that completely addressed. If I can't, I can't answer to your questions, I will make sure you get addressed offline as well. Okay. With that, let's dive in. Okay, so this is one of the things I think you all kind of think this is more like a perception. A cloud is definitely not a place or an architecture. It's a way of working, right? It's an operating model. You all heard about multiple clouds. There is private cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud, multi-clouds. There's so many clouds, like sovereign cloud, right? So you heard about, it's all this, the way how you want to operate. It's an operating model that how you do it, right? It doesn't matter. The same hardware can be provisioned in multiple clouds, but the way they operate is totally different. So that's why I just want to at least understand what is that cloud means, right? So people get often confused about the cloud. So, okay. I want to start off with like the savings, what you normally get, comparing the VCF with 3-tier of the older generation hardware. Let's take a moment to at least understand our current landscape, where our customers are, right? Most of our customers are still on Gen 1 and Gen 2. Gen 1 is codenamed as Skylake, and Gen 2 is Cascade Lake. So those customers, as you can see, Skylake is already end of life. Gen 1 is already end of life. We actually tell them to just literally get out of that Skylake and move into the latest, greatest generation, which is Xeon 6. Second generation, which is Cascade Lake, will be end of life by end of this year. So there are many customers still on that. Why are we telling to just move out of it? If at all you're thinking about doing more like a next gen workload to be deployed, like container workloads or AI workloads or mixed workloads, then you should have some inbuilt accelerator. You can't do it on the older generation hardware. So you need to move it to a newer generation. That's why we're trying to push actively to customers. You won't have any AI capability. You will have a minimum security capability, the older hardware, but now you will have all the security, advanced security inbuilt into the hardware, into the silicon chip, right? So that's what you're trying to see. If you're seeing a VC of 3-tier with second generation, look at the amount of spending you're doing. There is a server sprawl. You must have had so many servers, very less utilized. You're paying a lot of money for the power, a lot of money for the licensing, and then lower utilization, which is going to cost you. By the way, if you go to a 5th gen or a 6th gen on the second pillar here, that's where the savings are. From 7 million, you almost go to 3.7, almost like half of, right? A little bit more than half. That's the savings you're going to get. But if you compare that with any of those public cloud or native cloud, you see the increase, right? So you're getting the best of the both worlds. You're getting a good consolidation from our hardware, from the technologies Intel Xeon brings in. You're also getting the best of the both worlds from VCF as well, which will kind of help you to accelerate your current workloads, not only your current workloads, additional workloads on top of it. So the saving power, your workload is optimized, current and future workloads, and plus you're saving lots on licensing. Whatever that money save, you can invest it for additional environment or additional business you want to run on top of VMware environment. So with that, let me move on to the next slide here. This is another data point. VMware went and did this study called Private Cloud Outlook. And there's a link in the bottom. As Tristan said, this is being recorded and you will have the slides available for you. Or you can go click it, or you can Google it or ChatGPT it, whatever you want to do. But look at that workload repatriation. Old days, we all heard, oh, well, hey, we all have to move to cloud because cloud is, well, like since I said it's an operating model, there are customers who wants public cloud. Yes, so be it. They want to do it, then they can do it. But depending on how customers are really looking for, majority of the customers say, hey, I want control. I want to have security in my control, right? I don't want to put my data into somebody's cloud. So for that, those kind of thinking, right? They are repatriating. So they went and did deploy in the cloud, but they wanted to move out of public cloud to the private cloud. 35% already repatriated their workloads from public to private. I will tell you one example. Dropbox. When I was in HPE, Dropbox literally had few outages in the cloud, and they can't have the customers to be completely down, right? So they said, okay, I'm not going to suffer. I'm not going to make sure my business, I'm going to run my business like this. So instead of public cloud, they moved out of public cloud to private cloud, completely on Intel Xeon infrastructure with HPE servers. And now they control the SLA. They don't want the public cloud to control the SLA, right? So I just gave an example. That's similar kind of a thinking that people are really looking for. Like if you look at the thing, like high security is a big concern. Data intensive is a big concern. High levels of integration with other systems is a big concern. So those are the top concerns for them to at least drive their business to move out of the public cloud into the private cloud. Okay. This is more towards, you all know about this, but I also want to stress this, like why we are saying this platform along with Intel is much, much better. As you see, the business critical applications are run on top of it. I told you I was in VMware spending a lot of time. In fact, when I was an Oracle DBA, I don't want to put Oracle DBA on VMware, but when I physically put Oracle DBA, in fact, Oracle RAC on Oracle RAC DB on VMware platform, it runs really fine. I mean, on production hardware, right? So it's hard to believe, but once you put that thing on a platform, and then make sure everything is running fine, you can optimize it, you can back up it, you can make sure your SLA is guaranteed, then you have the level of confidence. So like you see, modern databases, classic ML ops, or modern ML ops, ML apps, Oracle, SQL, SAP, HANA kind of databases. Red Hat OpenShift, the container platform, there are many customers, like majority of the OpenShift customers puts their platform into the VMware, on top of VMware, VCF platform, right? And then industry-specific application and containers application. There are about 85 million workloads that run on VMware. I just want to at least set that this is critical that for you to all understand that all this critical application runs on this platform, on combined platform. All right. So now I at least set some standard, like what we are capable of, what are the best of the both worlds you're trying to get. But how do we really approach? Because since I came from this user and DBA and application background, first of all, for us, is mostly we need to make sure the workload runs really fine. If the workload is going to be down, if the workload is going to go slow, who's going to get a complaint? The DBAs, the app admins, the storage admins. They're going to get constant tickets about, hey, my application is slow, I can't access this. So you need to really understand the workload first. Is it compute intensive? Is it memory intensive? Is it IO intensive? Does it need any AI workload that needs to be run? For that, in order to run that, you need to have a proper infrastructure, right? When you say infrastructure, you need compute power, network power, storage power. You all need that. And plus, you also need some software at the system level to get access, to have it activated, right? That's what this box comes into the picture. So CPU cores built-in accelerator is something Intel provides. And we also provide an open software ecosystem with one API and AI tools. So what eventually does is it gives you higher performance, increased efficiency, right? And of course, you're going to get a good total cost of ownership. Whatever money you're paying now, most of the customers are either 3-year refresh cycle or a 5-year refresh cycle. So they actually make sure that their investment is protected for next 3 years or next 5 years. So I call this more like infrastructure matters. So no matter what, you need to really understand your workload first, and then make sure your infrastructure currently what you have supports it to run this guys in an optimal way. If not, you need to change your infrastructure or modify your infrastructure to cater to this needs. Okay. All right. So once you go through that accelerator, not accelerator, the workload approach, right? Here are the most concerns like probably people who deploy the critical applications on top of it will have, right? What are the top concerns? Like why we say that our platform is better with VMware Cloud Foundation, right? Number one thing is the performance. Is it already optimized? Do I have to really worry about performance? Is it already tuned to my application? And number two is server consolidation. If you're moving away from an older generation to a newer generation hardware, like 3-year refresh or 3-year-old hardware or a 5-year-old hardware, you probably better be like replacing like 10 servers with like 1 server or 2 servers. I'm just kind of giving more kind of an example here, right? Your consolidation may vary depending on what kind of workload you're trying to put. So if you replace that server, imagine you're replacing 10 servers with 2 new gen servers, you are pretty much eliminating that 8 servers, all the compute power, licensing, all those things you're completely eliminating, right? Plus, this additional 2 server will have more room to run additional workload on top of it. So I'm not kidding. It is this because every gen over gen, the Xeon platform is getting much better, more CPU power, more frequency, more on you can do all this more thing comes, right? More you can do with the accelerator. That's what I mean, like this robustness comes into it. So you're gonna get real good consolidation for sure. And then using our accelerator, you're gonna get even further consolidation. And if you properly resize your VMs, you're going to get even further consolidation, right? So we call it like density, the VM density. How much of VMs you can pack into the given Xeon VCF cluster. So, and then the third thing is security. Security, as you know, it's more important. We can secure either as an edge deployment or cloud. I talked about all the cloud in all the cloud. So we can protect it. And then the fourth thing is accelerating workloads. So depending on your workloads and the accelerator, like I was talking about earlier, Intel has something called AMX, Quick Assist Technology. Quick Assist Technology comes with 3 things. One is the crypto, compression and decompression, and then you also can do the encryption as well. So the compression decompression is where I told you about the sequence of example. There's also something called dynamic load balancer. That's a load balancing at the silicon level, like similar to your application load balancer. And we have two, the security technology, what we have 2 of them. One is the Intel Trusted Domain extension, and the other one is a software God extension. TDX does the protection at the VM level, SGX does the protection at the application level. So those 2 are already enabled. That's what I call it, the accelerators already inbuilt here, right? And last but not least is the power savings. Today in the US, I think they are started demanding like, hey, I have my data center has got stringent power requirement. They're looking for TDP ratings. What is a TDP rating for this server? Can you make sure here's the rack and here's a specification for the power. Can your server can fit into this power requirement? That's stringent they are. And if you go outside of US, there is even more stringent because Europe and all, they're looking for like at least 50% of power saving, both CO2 as well as power savings and all. So that's where you're going to get the best of the both worlds. So I kind of covered most of them here. So, okay. Let me kind of accelerate this thing and we'll get to the actual crux here. Hopefully I'll cover in the remaining time. So we still have time. Okay, so here are the choices you have. So like I said before, if you're still on Gen 1, it is out of support. So I definitely would highly encourage to go check your current environment, what you are running. And if you are planning on putting an AI workload, any AI workloads, good luck. It's not going to perform really well. You're not going to have any acceleration inbuilt there. You will not have any advanced security. It's going to have a standard security. So you have two options. One, you can upgrade your hardware or you can upgrade your software. But again, you see, if you just upgrade either of them, you're going to get whatever it's needed. But I think the best thing what you can do is upgrade both. So by upgrading both, you're going to get all the best of the both worlds. It will be an AI-ready infrastructure. I can guarantee you that, because AI means different to different people or different to different businesses, right? Either you're figuring out AI or you want to do AI right now. In either of this case, our infrastructure, our platform can support it. And that's why we call it AI-ready infrastructure. So you can start our journey right now, or if you want to do it later, our infrastructure can support it for the next 3 years or next 5 years. So you get all the benefits. I don't have to repeat it, this one. So this benefit is something you're going to get, especially when you upgrade both to the current hardware and current software, which is with VMware. Okay. All right. This is kind of more aligned to, I call it, this is like a more takeaway slide or the value of this whole presentation or session, I may call it. No matter what kind of workload you run. So I actually grouped it almost like 5. It's an AI workload with all those use cases listed here. Data analytics workloads with all those use cases, networking, storage, and high performance computing. So if you are trying to define any of those workloads, we map something called the Intel Xeon value add. This is what the inbuilt accelerator I mentioned it. So I kind of mapped it. If you're running these workloads and you can offload those workloads along with AMX, you're gonna see a guaranteed good performance with and without AMX. We got performance studies done, and if you want, reach out to me. I can send you those details to you, or you can Google and ChatGPT as well. You will find it as well. So I guarantee that your CPU usage will go down. Most of the work will be done by the accelerator engine. Same thing goes with QAT. Same thing goes with VRAN. So try to leverage that. A QAT example I told you, relational database, Microsoft SQL Server backup can be offloaded to QAT engine. You can Google it as well. You can see that there's a procedure, SP configured procedure, which will tell you how to offload your SQL Server backup to a QAT, Intel QAT engine. So once you do that, your CPU is not consumed a lot, and then QAT will do the job. And no matter what you do, all this application, we got the confidential computing cover. It's called SGX and TDX. And this is going to really help you to make sure you're completely secure. I told you this SGX is mostly at the VM level, application level protection. So there is a little bit of code changes you need to the application to take advantage of it. And then it will protect you at the at the application level. The VM level protection is where the TDX. TDX, as we speak, it's available from VCF 9.0 onwards. 9.0, as you know, they went GA on June. So if you're trying to plan into VCF 9 and want to have TDX enabled, you don't have to change any applications running inside the VM. It is stay as it is, and it's completely protected. And it's running an environment called TEE, Trusted Execution Environment. It's completely running in its own enclave. It's completely protected. So this something at least I would highly just keep this in your back pocket. Depending on what kind of workload you run, I will make sure you take advantage of this accelerator, and also take advantage of your inbuilt the security features Intel enables it. All right, now you're wondering like, okay, so Kanan, we discussed about, you've kind of mentioned all those things. So where are these servers? Which are the OEMs enabling this, right? So as you know, we launched Xeon 6 about a few months ago. There are 2 variants of Xeon, right? One is the P core and the E core. We support both with VMware. And then E cores is actually in the roadmap to get supported. The E cores are It stands for efficient cores, and then mostly they have used it at the telco kind of a workloads. But P cores is where most of the VMware workloads lands onto it, right? So if you go search for Intel Xeon, the Xeon 6 processor, we call it like Granite Rapids. That's the internal code name. If you search for that, you will see, I think there's so many OEMs certified for both 9.0 and 8.0.3. The leading OEMs like HPE, Dell, Lenovo, Cisco, they're all listed here, and plus other additional OEMs and OEMs also listed here. So if you've not heard about it, this is called Broadcom Compatibility Guide, as known as VMware Compatibility Guide, BCG. Now it's called BCG. Again, if you don't have a link, Google it. If you want to, I will point it out as well. Before you buy all those things, I would highly go check this things from the OEMs, respective OEMs. Are they certified to run 9.0 on 8.0.3? There are still customers running on 8.0.3, right? 9.0 just came out, so still customers are on 8.0.3. Okay, let's talk about the real stuff. I'm like, okay, you keep talking about it. What about the performance? What about any benchmarks? So here is about this VM Mark IV scalability that we did jointly. This one is done on a Dell server, which is on the older gen, comparing the 5th gen versus 6th gen. Gen over gen, our performance goes up. That's what you're trying to see here. You all know the VM Mark benchmarking. It's got a mixed workload benchmarking. It's measured in tiles. Each tiles will have multiple VMs. Multiple VMs have different workloads they're running onto it, right? That's how the measurement is. So you can go look it for yourself. This has already been posted in this blog with all the details. And also there's also the details about the blog has been published as well. But take a look. The score, the VMmark scores, what we achieved from the older gen to a newer generation. So that way, it gives you a peace of mind that, okay, I'm buying a hardware which has already been validated by VMmark score, and it's going to perform. So you want to keep it more homogeneous when going from Xeon to Xeon, you're going to be better off because you get the inbuilt Xeon advantage. You also get the performance you're going to gain from the older generation to newer generation. Okay. All right. Another example I want to give is SAP HANA. As you all know, SAP HANA has been heavily virtualized on production, running on multi-socket boxes, right? This example I'm showing is on a 4th gen with vSphere 8. We are trying to do, as soon as vSphere comes out and our generation comes out, we're trying to get the proof point much quicker. But as you know, SAP benchmarking takes a little longer. We have an active roadmap with the VMware SAP team and also with SAP to get this thing certified. So Xeon 6 is as in plan. Like I said, with a joint roadmap, we are working onto it. This, at least I want to show the gain comparing from the older generation to the newer generation, see what the performance improvement you're trying to get. And it's pretty linear across multiple generations, right? This is a TPH workload we ran with mixed SAP HANA workload test. And you see the performance as if it's really climbing up, right? And look out for Xeon 6. If you're specifically interested on the ETA, I can get you that, especially on SAP. But we want to be more transparent on this. Wherever you think it's something you want to work with us, help you in your journey, we are happy to help out, okay? All right. Well, this is another good thing that you want to keep it in your back pocket as well. This is the goodness. This is actually, you see all roadmap items, and we're just sharing it with you. The AMX, like I told you, if you're running AI inferencing workload or distributed training or deep learning to some lightweight workloads, it has been enabled from 8.0 onwards. 8.0, 9.0, it's been enabled. QAT, mostly for crypto public key, right? The public key encryptions. IPsec, TLS, compressed file systems like database backup, custom storage stacks. We have been enabling QAT from 7.0 onwards. As you all know, 7.0, some of them it could be end of life already, or it's going to be end of life soon. But 8.0, 9.0 is also supported. CXL, it will be supported somewhere around, I think we are trying to get somewhere around 9.1 timeframe. That's why you see the X here. Flat memory mode will also be supported at 9.1 timeframe, so that you can use the memory as a tiered memory, right? And then the other technology I talked about for security, SGX, is enabled from 7.0 onwards. TDX just enabled from 9.0 onwards. So this features is already been published in the VCF 9.0 GA release notes, especially if you check on the Xeon. And we also have another feature which I didn't mention called HWP, which is mostly for power savings, the hardware power savings, HWP. Take a look at that as well. If you need more detail, I'm happy to provide that. So, okay, I want to cover a little bit about this AI. What does AI we do with VMware? We call it enterprise AI, right? And VMware call it like private AI. We do private AI is like keeping your data completely in a separate perimeter or separate fence kind of a thing, you may call it, like, make it more secure. That way, as you know, today you have a data pipeline, right? You need, from the data pipeline, you have to make sure the data is completely clean data. And based on that, you do the training. Once you do the training, then you do the inferencing. That's where you're going to get all those business decision done based on the inferencing, right? So the whole data pipeline is something Intel is good about it. We got infrastructure supporting all the data pipeline and also the inferencing. We're not doing much about the training here, as you know, but inferencing is where, and all the data pipeline work, what we can do, Intel can support you. With training, we also have something called, you can use third-party GPUs like NVIDIA or all, along with our host nodes where Xeon can run. So Xeon, along with NVIDIA, can also be utilized for your training purpose. So with that, I just want to at least highlight this, going from top to bottom. We have something called OPIA. It's called Open Platform for Enterprise AI. It's an open consortium. It's more like an open community. It came from Linux, where we have put all those optimized models, and we have a lot of ecosystem partners as well. VMware is also one of them. If you Google it, opia.dev, you will find all the information. And if at all you're trying to deploy natural language processing, fraud detection, price prediction, code gen, chatbot assistance, or LLM, large language modeling, on any of this framework with Intel's software suite, which will support like data analytics I mentioned, and data prep, Gen AI deep learning, fine tuning and inference, and the classic YAML training and inference. With this framework, we also have one API, which does the optimization for you on any Intel Xeon platform. Once it's optimized, you can run on any Xeon platform on top of VMware Cloud Foundation. As you know, VMware Cloud Foundation comes with robust features. So, and then this will be supported on Intel CPUs, like with all built-in AI accelerator, which I talked to you. We also have something called hardware accelerator called Intel Gaudi, which is mostly a GPU. You can do all GPU kind of a workload. We just, in fact, as of today, you can Google it. Intel Gaudi is supported. We are blogging it. As a matter of fact, I'll be speaking at VM Explore specifically about Gaudi enabling it. So you can go beyond 20 billion parameters with Gaudi. And then you can do multiple workloads deployed on top of Gaudi as well. So this has been supported. We have drivers launched. We have blog released. We have talked about all those use cases that you can put on top of Gaudi. So you can start your journey with CPU and Xeon CPU with the AMX, and also you can do with Gaudi. And we also have a roadmap with VMware for our next gen GPU as well. And guess what? Like I said, we are already working with the 3 leading OEMs to get this whole stack enabled. We have something called VAO, value-added OEM partners, especially with VMware. And these partners add most of the solution engineering capability, which is already inbuilt. For you as a customer or user, you just get that whole solution or an RA or all the components to build it, and then this vendors will support you on top of it. All right, let's get into the fact here. This one, I know VMware also talks a lot, though we have GPUs, and there's a perception most of the thing, okay, if I have to run AI workload, I need a GPU. Well, if you need a GPU, GPU is pricey, first of all, and GPU is power hungry. Do you really need a GPU is a question, rather than just you want to run AI workload. Well, if you want to run an AI workload, if the AI workload is an inferencing workload, and you don't care about much of your latency, I mean, normal latency is good, and your workload, your modeling is like less than 15 to 20 billion parameters, you might as well be good running on an Intel Xeon CPU and with AMX. So once you're done, evaluated what workload you need to run, you don't have to really buy GPU at the beginning, right? I'm not saying not to buy GPU. If your workload needs GPU, please go buy it. But if you don't need it initially, then I would start with CPU and AMX. And we also have the Gaudi 3, I mentioned it, right? Gaudi 3 is an hardware-based accelerator with the PCIe current OEM access. We have released both. So those things will support you furthermore acceleration with multiple users, scalability with multi-users and all, especially on the inferencing workload. So you might be better off starting with that. But if your workload needs like lower latency, a model beyond 20 billion for training and large models, in fact, and I will share that slide as well. We did an IDC study polling that for small and average models, most of the customers are looking to run on the CPU with accelerated CPU. And when you say accelerated, it's got some of the accelerator inbuilt, right? So I'll show that as well. So that actually gives you a data point, like why we are pushing the customer to start with CPU and accelerator first. And then don't get me wrong, as I keep saying it, if you need GPU, you can always do GPU as well at some point. Okay, here's a white paper, I mentioned it. This white paper was done by IDC. As you know, IDC is a reputed organization. They went and polled some of the audience, like, okay, what do you consider when developing the smallest AI model? Would you run on an AI accelerated CPU only, or would you run with the GPU also? So most of, I think you can see some of them are like, done like both together, like, but at least you can see the CPU only is something is preferred. I can give you I already gave you the example that the variance you're trying to get. The CPU, if you get things on CPU, why would you just need GPU at that first point, right? So you can get things done by CPU itself. Same thing goes with average models as well. So think through it. Keep this in your back pocket when you're planning to run some of the AI workload. Do your due diligence, make some homework, and at least understand the nature of the AI workload you're trying to run, and make sure that fits into the AI the offerings that Intel and VMware is providing on top of CPU. That way you should be having a good journey to start, okay? All right, let's get into the conventional computing to some extent. As you know, there are two technologies which I mentioned. Like one is the Intel SGX and Intel TDX. SGX, that's the app level isolation. So you look at the trusted boundary is mostly on this, the application enclave, right? That's where the boundary is. But for the VM isolation, especially on the TDX, you see it's all the OS application and the confidential data with the VM admin to completely manage it. That's a trusted boundary you're trying to get. So most of the customers are literally looking for, look, I'm not going to do any changes. And in a matter of few clicks, I want to make sure my VM is completely protected at the silicon level and the platform level with VMware. That's what we integrated. The Intel TDX, as I said, it's available as of now for you all to use if you're running on a VCF 9.0 and then Xeon 6 processor. So to think through it, this is already available for you to check it out. Okay, there are some use cases we did. especially showcasing the TDX technology week. As confidential computing, there is also a term called confidential AI. So you're running some confidential data, or confidential data has been analyzed, or confidential data has been utilized in those AI models. How are you going to protect that? Are you going to expose those data when you're trying to do the training, when you're trying to do the inferencing? That's what it kind of shows, right? Doing a federated learning coming from two multi-data data source, and then so it's all completely encrypted and decrypted, and it moves into a master model. That's where the data from both party comes in, and all of them are running in a TEE. It's called Trusted Execution Environment. In fact, we showcased this demo in the last VM Explore. If you're interested, I can share you the demo, or you can Google it and find out. In fact, Sandeep from VMware and I did a joint Bright Talk as well. You can Google it as well, especially about what is the best of the both worlds we can bring in for the security technology. So this is, if you already have a security policies enforced within your organization, that's great. But I also want to see, at least at the platform, at the infrastructure level, that we already have it available. I will highly encourage you to just enable that, and then you enforce your security policies on top of it. That way, you can have multiple level of security, right? So it's very key. Okay. This is the tool that VMware, along with VMware, we kind of developed this. It's called Xeon Processor Advisor. What it tells you is like remember I told you, if you're running on an older generation, you want to get out of the and going into a newer generation, like moving away from your first generation to a 4th gen or second generation to 5th gen. We are in fact updated this tool to Xeon 6 as well, so which I will have to get updated this at some point. But you get the point. And this slide is actually output of that tool. It's a Xeon Processor Advisor. And this tool is available to mostly for our VMware OEMs and partners. You as a customer reach out to, or user, reach out to your one of your execs, Intel execs or VM execs or your OEM partners. They'll be happy to run this down for you based on what current environment you're running. And then look at this, all the styles you're getting, what the TCO you're going to get, number of servers you can consolidate 70%, which is like 1 to 7. It will be replaced. 7 servers of your old generation will be replaced by 1 4th gen. That's what it means. You get performance this much. You can break even within two months time frame. And look at the power savings, which I mentioned, 49%, almost 50% of power saving and COT savings you're trying to get. It's pretty natural because you're reducing multiple servers into fewer servers, you're reducing your data footprint, you're reducing your power, you're reducing your licensing, you're reducing all the cores, right? So that's what you're trying to get. So, and then plus you're maximizing the utilization, you're packing up more additional workloads, you're using all the Intel technologies with accelerator that is going to beef up more. So that's kind of the key benefits you're going to get. And it's like I already mentioned that, so that this is exactly what you're trying to get. So this is a QR code that you can scan to access the tool. If you can't access the tool, let me know. You as an user probably can, I guess. If you're not, let us know. Or like I said, reach out to your representatives. And then it also gives you another report. This is just for mostly for to at least see the comparison, like what the benefits you're going to get for the decision makers. But you want to know more about, okay, here are my source current environment, here's the target environment, and here are the catalog of OEM servers that you can pick and choose to order. That gives all those details will be available for you in a PDF report as well. So it does two. One, it gives you this report, and then it also gives you a detailed PDF report. That's something you can also get it from this tool and for you to analyze and order it. All right, we come almost to the end here. So what are the key takeaways I want to get out of this session? So if you're a data practitioner or infrastructure and app architects, I've done both. I used to be a DBA. I used to be a app architect, infrastructure architect to some extent. I want to make sure the platform is pretty much like one single platform. I don't want to change multiple platforms. I want to remain homogeneous, right? When I say homogeneous, stick with, if it's Xeon, Intel Xeon, stick with Intel Xeon so that you don't have to really have the pain of moving away from the one platform to another platform. As you know, migration takes a lot of time. It's painful. You will have to bear the SLA. You have to pay for resources, all those things. So I would make sure I stay on the same platform and make sure whatever the workloads I'm currently running runs really fine, and make sure whatever the additional workload. Today's world, your company may get acquired by somebody, or you may acquire some other company. So that's the world we are right now. But they all come with some requirements, right? They say, oh, hey, I want to run some AI workload. I want some container workloads. I want to run some third-party container workloads on top of it. Can I run both VMs and containers together? By the way, you all know VCF 9.0 has a functionality where you can run both container as well as VM and manage everything through vCenter as well. So that's kind of key, right? So let's make sure that software, hardware compatibility, make sure it's homogeneous. Make sure your SLAs can be guaranteed. Make sure you can run all your current and next gen application. Make sure you can run AI workloads either now or later. So you probably ought to make sure, and then plus all the CPU goodness we bring in with accelerators that trying to get inbuilt, which is going to help you out, whether it's going to be private cloud or multi-cloud or hybrid cloud, doesn't matter. So we want to make sure that that's something it's guaranteed. For C-suites, all they care about is like, okay, can my business run as it is with all the SLAs? Can we get even better more? Can we save more money? They care about it saving money so that they can provision additional business workloads with the saved money, right? So that's what they care about. So we can help you on that. That's a TCO tool I talked about it. That's where I think C suites are really wants to go there. So that's it from me. Here's my call to action. My call to action is if you're planning or if you are already on the journey, and if you are stuck or if you want to have a helping hand to reach out to any one of us, VMware or Intel experts, or to your OEM or partner experts, to have one-on-one conversation. And you may hear a lot of other things, a lot of alternatives that you may hear, but I would say carefully plan your choice, understand your workload now and later, understand what the implications you're going to get, and then do execute your plan. Okay. So that's all from me now. There are some resources available. I would highly encourage you to go take a look. It's already available in the public as well. This also needs to get upgrade. There are a few things we need to update because I mentioned you about Gaudi that recently got certified or supported today. So we'll update that. With that, thank you so much. Let me see if I have any questions here. Feel free to send questions via chat. I don't know if I can see questions here. Let me see. There is chat. You're welcome from Italy. Hello from me, Denmark. Okay. I don't see. There's only a chat. Oh, is there a Q&A? Okay, there is one in Q&A. Okay, let me look. When and where we can access the presentation. Okay. Yes, sure. This should be, I'll let Tristan to comment on that. This should be available. Like he said, this has been recorded. This presentation should be available as part of the recording. If you need the actual presentation, I think that should also be available in the VMUG portal. If not, reach out to me via email. The email is displayed on my presentation now. I can able to provide this. So I've been literally providing this talk and then this value add, some of those VMUG, physical VMUG as well. So happy to hand over the slides. Okay, you did say it's already uploaded. Okay, for some reason I couldn't have access that Q&A. Is there any specific question that you see in the Q&A? Okay, there it is. I can see Q&A. Okay, Broadcom is now licensing model from CPU core, doubling approach. When moving to two-socket system, this often leads to wasted unused core license. For example, if your workload requires 36 cores, we still have to pay double the VMware licensing cost. How we can optimize the issue? Okay, great question. Yeah, so the first thing I always say, again, this is typical when I was doing Oracle virtualization on top of VMware. We had the same issue, right? Oracle wants to pay for every license, every course that you have, you're running on that, though you're running only part of it. I would highly encourage you to just make sure you select the servers, select the SKUs based on what you need, based on the cores that you want to run. If you're running on a 32 core box, if you're only running 16 cores and you're keeping other 16 core idle, yeah, it's a waste of license and you are paying like double the amount, but you're only using 16 cores. That's something I would not do it. Rather than I would make sure I pack all those cores in a way. And then, I mean, some of those processors, what we have, we can go like 4 to 5 vCPUs per core, okay? So that much of consolidation you can do. So I would make sure you utilize all the 32 cores. And in fact, even you can also overcome it based on your workload, if at all your SLAs are fine. So I will make sure you maximize that whole cluster or maximize the whole host and keep a host for your HA slot, right? If one of the hosts fails, like 3+1 normally, right? If you want to keep 3 hosts running all the time, then you probably want to add one more. So as a HA slot, but if one server goes down with all those servers completely packed and running on that host, can fail over to the 4th one. So I think that's what I think you should do at this point. There are some host-based affinity you can do as well, and we also have SSDs policies where you can darken some of those processor. But when you go see the BIOS, you will only see 16 cores, so you can turn off the other 16 cores and you boot up. So that's also you can do as well, if at all that's audit functionality needs to happen. But between these two options, I think you should be able to make sure that you can get away with that problem. Hope it answers your question. If not, please ask me for additional questions via email. Is any other questions I missed it here in the Q&A? This presentation is a bit okay. Let me see. Tristan, if you can come back and let me know if I missed anything, that'll be good as well.
Yep, it looks like you answered. There was one question in the Q&A and they were able to put it in the general chat. So we are squared away there.
Okay.
Kanan, awesome. If that is all that you have, I will close us out. Thank you all for coming. And just a reminder, this session was recorded. It will be uploaded to the VMUG channel on YouTube, and then it will also be emailed to you all via email in the wrap up. Thank you. Upon the closure of this webcast, you will be directed to a survey. Please fill these out. It helps us provide you fresh, relevant content for future webcasts. And also, if you are interested in the Advantage membership, please use code community to receive a 10% off a 1-year Advantage membership. So thank you all. It looks like one question might have came back up.
Okay. Chat. The features you explained, does it require any additional software or appliance need to be achieved? No, no. There is no software licensing or licensing or any cost ever that you need to incur. That's why I keep saying it. These features are already available. It's been integrated and certified, validated by VMware both. Remember, I told you we have a joint roadmap at VMware with all those features. So it is already been enabled. If you have anything specific of any of those features, please reach out to me. Happy to help. But you definitely don't need any additional software for this.
And then Shahjad asked one last question for us.
What is the mini CPU for home lab? Oh, okay. The Nook, yeah, the Nook, I think is where we were doing all those home lab thing. In fact, I think, as you know, Intel kind of gave that to some third party. I don't know the name of the company. But yeah, I don't focus on that. But yes, those are the CPUs. Nook has it, and that probably mostly used for many home labs. But we do have some cloud-based provisioning and all. I don't know that we are offering that for tryout or for something like home lab kind of provisioning. I think there is also something called HoloLens VMware had that kind of like Nexted EX and all. I think that has already been blogged. If you Google it, HoloLens, you will find out. I think that also went GA with like you can hopefully you can run it on a laptop if I'm not mistaken, or fewer cores hardware with a single box. So take a look onto that as well. So that probably can help you. What is the minimum CPU for home lab? Yeah, I think 4 CPU should work, or your dual CPU also work. Remember, I told you about this HoloLens, holodeck, not HoloLens, holodeck. That probably can help for functionality, right? If you want to run just do functionality, not do any performance, then that's like 2 CPU or a 4 CPU box should work. But again, the latest processors are quite powerful, so you should be better off. I know people are still running. I run some of them, the holodeck in my MacBook. It runs fine, just to see the functionality. But also, you can also check the HOL labs that you get it through VMUG or also through VM Explorer. And that also can help you to check it out. Some of those functionality, you don't need a lab to build it, first of all. But if you want to try it out, yeah, and there are a few options that you can do. And then what is it? What is the menu? Please give me the URL of the company. I didn't get that. What is URL of the company he's talking about? Oh, okay, that Nook. Yeah, I will provide that to you at some point for sure. Sorry. Just send me a note via email. Any other questions, guys? This is good. I know I kind of didn't give enough room because I just want to make sure the contents are pretty relevant to you all. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you all, and see you next time.
You bet. Thank you, Tristan. Appreciate your time here.